person here, you'll all have a very long association with the city and with the football club. I'm the new Canon Provost here at the Minster, so in ordinary speak, that's the new vicar. I've been here 3 weeks, so I'm really just only getting plumbed in. So it's a real privilege for this to be one of the first public engagements that I've been involved with here at the Minster. Wonderful to have the Heaven Branch organising this event here in the Minster. I really hope that you'll feel at home here today. This is your place, and I hope that you'll always feel that you belong. And just as a symbol that I'm beginning to belong, I think maybe I ought to. Charlie, but I know a lot of you did, and even if you didn't know him personally, you're here to pay your respects to him today. So I'm going to hand over now to Joanne, to whom I think we're all indebted for organising this occasion. Joanne.
What a lovely turnout. Thank you for everybody to come. So on behalf of the Heaven Branch and our members, we want to welcome you all here. A beautiful spot in the heart of our city. The recent passing of Charlie Hurley, a legendary figure in Sunderland, has deeply touched the heart of our community, but particularly the community of our Heaven Branch, members of which are navigating bereavement and loss of a loved one themselves. Charlie, known as the King, was not just a footballer. He was a symbol of resilience and excellence, embodying the spirit of our club and this city. His legacy is a testament to the power of football and how it brings people together, to inspire and to comfort in times of sorrow. As the community mourns the loss of such an iconic figure, it's the shared memories that unite and strengthen the bond amongst us supporters. It's in these moments that the true meaning of Sunderland Football Club shines its brightest. It's a source of unity, strength and unwavering support for one another. The club's history, its triumphs and challenges, and its heroes like Charlie are forever woven into the fabric of the community, making Sunderland Football Club more than just a football club. Today we're going to hear stories from those that knew Charlie, some prayers and a song from George Forster, which we want everybody to join in with. We will hear a recording from the man himself, and we're going to pause for a minute's silence, which we want to end with a whistle and a massive cheer, just like we would in football. So now I'd like to hand over to Sunderland Football Club's chaplain and Netflix superstar,
Delighted to see so many people here today to pay tribute to a man who loved this city, loved its people and loved our football, and who, in return, was taken into the hearts of everyone in Sunderland, has been for generations and will be forevermore. The player of the century, King Charlie Hurley. Born in Cork in 1936, very different world. He was only 7 months or thereabouts when the family moved to Essex. His father, however, never forgot his Cork roots, a rebel pride that he passed on to his son. Growing up down south, Charlie survived the Blitz, in which one of his childhood's best friends was killed. And as a teenager, he worked as an apprentice toolmaker. His first offer of football was from West Ham, but he turned it down because he was earning more for his family by continuing with his apprenticeship. However, at the age of 16, he did eventually accept a contract with Millwall, who offered him a bit more than he was on as a toolmaker, always thinking of his family. And these would be the hallmarks of this great man's life: family, football, and faith. Charlie was a devout Christian who prayed every single day. I remember a long conversation with him a few years ago on one of his visits to the Stadium of Light. And he struck me not just as this charismatic, legendary football figure, but a deeply spiritual, self-aware, humble Christian soul who's seen life as a journey towards God, a journey, he said, in which you do the best you can and love as much as you can. And we pray for him today as he goes home to the God that he kept faith in throughout his long life. We pray for his lovely family, his beloved wife Joan and his daughters Tracy and Joanne, who he was very, very close to, and all his family, and those lucky enough to call him friends. And in this house of prayer, we come to give thanks to God for such a great day. Let me give you just a tiny bit of scripture, and this is from St. Paul. St. Paul wrote this: "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labour is never in vain." That speaks to me of Charlie Hurley, the man who signed for us at what was a huge fee back in 1957. St. Paul says there, "Therefore, my beloved brethren." In other words, he considered the community he had just arrived in as family. Charlie turned up in Sunderland in 57. He said he didn't have a clue where it was, just that it was somewhere up north. But he quickly made it his home, treating staff and fans in the town with respect and dignity. And in no time at all, he was considered part of our family here in Sunderland. St. Paul said there, be steadfast. Well, Charlie was steadfast in his commitment to the Sunderland team. He'd go through opposition players like dose of salt and then pick them up after he knocked them down to see if they were okay. And he was steadfast to his beloved family and to his faith, seen often at Mass in the Catholic churches here in Sunderland every week. Be immovable, said St. Paul. Charlie was an immovable player in our team. Brian Clough, the prolific scorer at Borough, said he only signed for Sunderland that he wouldn't be marked by Hurley again. I think he was only half joking. The two had great respect for one another. Charlie was a player who was commanding in the air, skillful and passed the ball well, and always found ways to compensate for his lack of pace. He will also be immovable in the hearts of Sunderland faithful forevermore. Finally, St. Paul said there, always abound in the works of the Lord, knowing that your labour is never in vain. Charlie is a man who abounded in the work of the Lord in the sense that he treated everyone with dignity and respect. He came armed with a smile and incredible positivity. He had a special eye on the vulnerable, and he would help anyone he could. Know that your labour is not in vain, said St. Paul. Charlie had a sense that his hard work and dedication were never in vain. You know, his first game for us, we got thrashed 7-0 by Stanley Matthews-inspired Blackpool, and poor old Charlie scored an own goal. Second match for us, Burnley, they destroyed us 6-0. I wonder if anyone thought after this second disastrous match that this man would go on to be voted player of the century. But Charlie knew his labour and hard work was never in vain because he knew he was part of a team. Yes, it would go on to be built around him, but he knew he needed his brothers on the pitch around him. He knew he was part of a beautiful football club. A club is not just 11 lads on the pitch. It's all the hard-working staff that put 100% in behind the scenes. And you are only ever going to achieve anything if that is part of your philosophy. There can be no them and us, no mighty and lowly, no important and unimportant people in a football club. It's one football club where everyone is respected and valued as part of that club, including the fans. And Charlie knew this all too well. He was also aware that he was part of Sunderland as a town as it was then. A community, a family that loved their football. And he wanted to labour his God-given talents for that family, for that community, for us. What do we love to see as a community above all else? We love players that care, a management structure that care, people in charge that care, players that understand the weight of the shirt on their backs, players that would run through brick walls and across broken glass to step onto the pitch at the Stadium of Light. I'll always remember watching Charlie dig up the centre circle in 1997 at the last ever game at Roker Park, before it was relayed in the Stadium of Light. To me, it showed something of his spirit and his love being transported and handed over to a new generation. Charlie Hurley was a man who treated our football club with the reverence it deserves. A beloved brother of Sunderland, steadfast, immovable, always abounding in goodness, knowing that his labour was never in vain. Today, we gather to celebrate his passion and to commend him to his eternal reward. I'd like to hand over to Malcolm now, who's going to share some memories and stories from his time knowing Charlie at the club.
Well, we're here today to remember Charlie Hurley and all our memories, and special thought to members of the Heaven Branch and their loved ones, because I'm sure many of them will have so many memories of Charlie Hurley. Great to see some former players here, some of Charlie's teammates, and a special welcome to Bobby Moncur. Bobby Moncur, another great centre-half, and he's here to represent Newcastle. So thank you for coming. And let's spare a thought for the family and friends of Derek Foster, who sadly passed away last week. A teammate of Charlie's, made his debut at 15 years old. And they're in our thoughts as well today. And also, again, appreciation to Joanne and everybody that's put this service together. So once again, can we just thank Joanne? I was very privileged to have known Charlie and have almost daily contact with him over a 5-year period. And I walked into Roker Park as a 15-year-old office boy. And on my first morning, Charlie took me down and introduced me to all the players. And of course, what I didn't realise at that time was not only the players, but there was a very small backroom staff, not unlike the huge number of people that work at football clubs these days. So there were 4 people in the office, there were 3 trainers, there was a physiotherapist, chief scout, and a groundsman. So we were all part, really, of one team. And what I didn't realise, that because we were all part of one team, it didn't matter whether we were in the office or wherever, that we were part of the daily banter that took place on virtually every day, and the tricks. And I'd been at the club only about a week when Charlie came upstairs and knocked on the office window. And he said, "Open the door." And Charlie had got a big dustbin bag, and he staggered into the office with this dustbin bag. So I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's a pig." I said, "Don't worry, it's dead. I want you to take this along to Alan Brown's office. Tell him that it's the pig he ordered, and he owes Charlie £2.50. Okay. So I went along the corridor, And I'd only met Alan Brown a couple of times in that first week, and he was quite a fearsome character. So I knocked on the door, took the pig in. What's that? I said, it's the pig you ordered, Mr. Brown. Charlie Hurley said, you owe him £2.50. So Alan Brown looked at me like something out of another planet. Said a few words that I can't repeat in here. And said, son, you can take the pig, take it downstairs, and tell Charlie to shove it up his backside. And that was my first experience of being part of the council. And when I was later made assistant secretary, one of my jobs was to allocate the complimentary tickets to players. Now that might sound the easiest job in the world, but I can assure you it wasn't. Because particularly on big games, and some of the lads in the front will know this, some of the big games, tickets were in big demand for players. So I used to give Charlie extra tickets. And players would come up to him and say, have you got a spare, Charlie? And Charlie would produce a couple of tickets from his top pocket. Kiss them. Right, there's a couple of spares for you. But I want a couple of steaks from your local butcher. But I want a couple of tickets from the Sunday Empire. So I looked after Charlie, and I used to babysit his daughters. And Charlie had a Ford Zephyr car, and I loved that car, and Charlie loved that car. And he used to take me home after I babysat. And one day he said, you've looked after me with tickets, you've babysat the daughters. Would you like to borrow my car for a weekend? Well, there was only one answer. And the weeks went by, and I thought, oh, Charlie's forgotten. And then one Friday, the coach was outside, ready to go for an away match. And Charlie came up to the office, gave me the car keys, and said, right, car's there for the weekend, bring it back on Sunday afternoon. So on the Saturday, I took my mother out for a run, never been in a car like that. Came back, and I'd been asking a girl out for ages, and she always said no. But she was a big Sunderland fan. So I rang her up and said, will you come out and have a coffee with me? No chance. I said, I've got Charlie Hurley's car. Pick me up at 6:30. So we had a run along the coast and had a coffee and came back. And by this time it was dark. And she lived in a cul-de-sac. So I dropped her off, reversed the car, and then there was this terrible bang. I got out of the car, and the neighbour's front wall had virtually disappeared. Bricks all over the place. So I panicked, drove off. Next morning, phone rings, it's a girl on the phone. The neighbour caught the registration number. If you don't go round and sort it out, they're going to ring the police. So I hot-footed round, sort things out with the neighbour. And that was the easy part, really, because then I had to go round to Charlie's. So I knock on Charlie's door. Hi, Mal, how are you doing? All right, fine. Have you got on? I said, oh, good weekend. Really enjoyed driving the car. All right, give me the keys. Well, there's a slight problem, Charlie. So we go around the back of the car. What was left at the back of the car? And Charlie exploded. Said a few choice words, which again I can't repeat here. Give me the keys. Get lost. And he slammed the door. So I'm thinking, that's my relationship with Charlie Weldon. So on the Monday morning, one of the players came up and said, Charlie wants to see you in the dressing room. So I start shaking by this time, go down the dressing room, and all the players are there, all changed, ready for training. And Charlie said, right now, and they started singing with a slight change of words. They started singing the Beatles song. Baby, you can't drive my car. Baby, you can't drive my car. So Charlie took it in good spirit. but he never ever forgot reminding me about the damage I've done to this car. You'll be very surprised to know that I never drove Charlie's car again. And very sadly, the girl never went out with me again. Many of you remember the half-time scoreboard that used to be the corner of the Roker end and the clock stand. And the only way people could know about the half-time scores was if you had a programme. And in the programme there'd be the little table with the letters A, B, C, etc. in a particular match. And Charlie said to me one day, I'll give you £10 if when you ring over the half-time scores from the Press Association, you tell them that Newcastle are losing 5-0. So I thought, well, I'll do anything for a tenner. So I rang over letter B, whoever it was that were playing, 5-0. And the operator of the scoreboard went, are you sure? Yeah, sure, 5-0. And the great roar went up from the crowd. And about 3 minutes later, I rang over again and I said, I'm really sorry, I've made a mistake. I've got it the wrong way around. And Newcastle are winning 5-0. There's a big groan. So that was another of Charlie's tricks. And I have to remind you, Charlie, you still owe me £10. And I had to work out the players' wages. And they were all on bonuses as well as the basic salaries. And Charlie was the highest paid player in the club at the time. And of course, paid in cash in those days. And I used to have to go to the bank, get the cash, and put the pay slips in little brown envelopes. And the players would come out from training, and they would queue up the stairs outside the office. And we had a brown box with little envelopes in, and we'd hang the envelopes over. And virtually every week, some of the senior players would say, tell us what Charlie's on. Tell us what Charlie's on. And I would never tell them. Charlie found out about this, and he said, that lot, they're a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. They've got no right whatsoever trying to find out what I'm on. No player should ask another player and find out what they're on. So when I left Sunderland, I moved to Derby County with Brian Clough, and we played a pre-season match against Sunderland. And I went back to the hotel where the players were having the dinner. Sat next to Charlie, and we'd recently signed Dave Mackay. And the very first thing Charlie said to me, he never even said hello first, he said, what's Dave Mackay on? So Charlie played the pig trick on me, and Charlie wasn't an easy player to get back, but I did get my own back one day. It was a couple of years later actually, and it was the day before April Fool's Day. And I told Charlie that Tyne Tees, the television company at the time, wanted to do an interview. But it would have to be 7 o'clock in the morning because of their schedules and also because of his training. And the other thing, just to let you know, Charlie, they want to do it at the end of Roker Pier. What do you want to do at the end of Roker Pier? Well, just to get a nice background of the sea and everything else. So Charlie turned up. I had a couple of friends who were there at the beginning of the year to see if he would turn up. And apparently he turned up and he waited about half an hour until he realised that nobody was going to come, somebody had made a mistake. So he went home, came back for training, and the training kit was on the bench. And on the bench was just a little note, April Fool, Mr. Brownlee. So eventually I got him back, but it wasn't easy. Charlie had what a player, and all of us great memories of Charlie as a player. And as Father said, his first 2 matches, 7-0, 6-0. But Charlie's reaction after the 6-0 was, what's the problem? We've improved. And things got better from then. But great memories of the cup ties. Cup ties against Tottenham, Manchester United, Everton, Leeds. Charlie's favourite goal was in a cup tie at Norwich. Bullet header, Jimmy will remember this, a bullet header, and the corner was taken by Harry Hooper. And Harry Hooper could put the ball on what was then a sixpence. And he used to say to Charlie, and of course the old leather balls there with the laces, which side of the lace would you like me to put the corner? Which way is facing you? So that was one of Charlie's, in his own words, really, favourite goals. We remember Charlie going up for a corner. First centre-half in Britain who would go up for a corner. And the great roar from the crowd of Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. And we'll never forget 1964 promotion day. The players had gone back down the tunnel. And there was a great roar of Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. And the players came out again, and Charlie was taken around the pitch with the other players, but Charlie was on the shoulders of Jimmy McNair. Great days, great memories. And Jimmy Shoulder was a left back in Charlie's time. And in those days, if you remember, we used to have reserve teams. And often the experienced players would play in the reserve team if they weren't part of the first team with no substitutes. And Jimmy was telling me that they had a game at Spennymoor, inches and inches of snow. And of course in those days snow didn't stop us playing football. And Charlie was there, it was a cup tie, Durham cup ties. And Charlie was there encouraging the young lads who were in the team. And Charlie played that game as though he was playing in the 6th round cup tie against Tottenham. And that's the way it was. And Jimmy used to sit and get changed before training between Len Ashurst and Charlie. And Jimmy talks about the great influence that Charlie had and the advice that he gave him. And that's the way Charlie was. So, a great player, a great man. And finally on stories, Charlie used to come up to the office once a week and sit there very patiently, signing autographs. And I had to deal with hundreds of requests for autographs that come to the post, and visits to schools and to hospitals. And he would sit there patiently, and he'd never once refuse a request for either him, or he would go to other players and say, can you visit such and such a school? Great memories. And of course, loved ones can be taken away from us, but the one thing that can't be taken away are the memories. And just a few short words from somebody called Alfred Wainwright. Alfred Wainwright was a great Lake District fellow who wrote lots of guidebooks, but he also wrote words of wisdom as well, really. And he said this about memories. The precious moments of life are too rare, too valuable to be forgotten when they have passed. We should hoard the memories as a miser hoards his gold, and bring them to light and rejoice over them often. We should all have a treasury of happy memories to sustain us, to brighten the gloom a little, to be stars shining through the darkness. And we especially remember today Joan, Charlie's wife. Charlie and Joan were a devoted couple. Joanne and Tracy, Charlie's daughters. 5 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. And Charlotte, one of Charlie's grandchildren, sent me a message, and she said it was okay for me to read this message to you. It's an extremely tough time at the moment. Me and our family are struggling to comprehend losing my granddad. We're totally overwhelmed with the outpouring of affection the club and fans had for him. And for me, he will be, and always will be, the best granddad anyone could ever wish for. Charlie once said, when I go to heaven, I'm going to be the captain. And we really hope that this is only half time, actually, in Charlie's journey. And he'll be up there with some of his former teammates and some of the Heaven Branch. And he'll be saying, good to see you, lads. Don't forget, I'm giving the team talk, I'm the captain. Giant of a man, great player, and a wonderful man. And Charlie, we will never ever forget you. Thank you. I'm now going to hand over to Richard Pitt, another great centre half, and Richie is chairman of the Former Players Association.
Good morning, everybody. My first memories of Charlie were as a 6-year-old supporter watching him from the back of the Fulwell end at Roker Park. The first chant I learned as a 6-year-old was Charlie, Charlie, as he made his way forward for corner kicks, free kicks, etc. And he soon became my schoolboy hero. I never thought for one moment that I would be fortunate enough to follow him as the Sunderland centre-half. When I got into the first team as a 17-year-old, Charlie became a wonderful mentor to me, coaching and giving me advice which was invaluable in helping me to improve my game. He even took me to his house in Grangetown for 2 hours one afternoon. Charlie was Reading manager when Sunderland played against them in the 4th round of the FA Cup in 1973, and he made the time to come and find me to chat and have a few laughs with me as I was on my way for a month's loan with Arsenal. He was a great player and a tremendous role model to everyone at the club. He was and always will be remembered as a true legend of Sunderland Football Club. It is both an honour and a pleasure as chairman of the Former Players Association to pay tribute to Charlie today. And it's really great to see Bob Moncur supporting him from Newcastle. I personally have lots to thank Charlie for in helping me as a young player. I feel privileged to have known Charlie and especially to call him a friend. Thanks for the memories, Charlie, and rest in peace.
We've heard a lot about what we think as a community about Charlie. Let's listen to what he thinks about us, his thoughts, his feelings about Sunderland and Football Club. Joanne's prepared a montage, if you like, of his voice. So let's listen to the King speak to his people now.
This is going around.
I'd never been to Sunderland. I didn't even know where it was. And when I got up there, we had a bad team. The team wasn't very good. Alan Brown, God rest his soul, he signed me. He said, Charlie, he said, they paid 18,000 quid. And that was a fortune in those days. He said, I'm going to build the team around you. He said, we need your type of character. He didn't know it, but he did know it, because the character he was looking for, I knew. I mean, I had it, so I was a winner. I mean, I was one of 7 kids, so, you know, I wasn't spoiled at all. My first 2 games was 7-0. Second one was big improvement, 6-0, lost them both. And I remember Billy Butterfield coming up to me with a reporter up there. He said, Charlie, he said, it's a 7-0 Bolton and 6-0 Blackpool. So I said, what are you on about? You've seen an improvement already. And he never forgot it. He thought it was a great answer you'd ever get, you know, because it was Blarney, you know, and I was good at Blarney. That's, you know, what it was all about. I mean, when I go up there now, I see the Sunderland fans, hey, Charlie, they're singing and everything. And I go very occasionally, because you're talking about 240 miles. It's not up the road. It's a long way, you know, but I do love, and as you can see now, they still love me, you know. And it's, you know, it's great. It was a great spell I had in football and as a player, and I shall never forget Sunderland.
So we're going to pay our respects in a moment with a minute's silence. This is an opportunity for us to pray for Charlie, to pray for his wife and children, his daughters and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's also a moment to reflect on our own loss. People here who have buried or bereaved of tremendously fantastic Sunderland fans, members of the Heaven branch. So this is an opportunity to remember all of them as well, who are being captained by the King. I'm aware that behind me is a beautiful stained glass window of Christ the King, who our King kept faith in all throughout his life, whom he is now reunited with, who he is now at peace with, free from pain, free from harm, free simply to continue to love his family, to love the communities he belonged to, and to continue to be loved by us. So this minute's silence, if you're able to do so, can I invite you to stand? And in silence, we pray. Let's give thanks and remember Charlie.
George Forster, who at almost 98 years young has dedicated 55 years of those to Sunderland Football Club. Over the years, he became friends with Charlie and describes him as his favourite ever player. So George is going to lead us in Charlie's song. He's going to start it off, and if we can all join in to help him along, that would be brilliant.
I was limited because unfortunately I had a wicked stroke and it took, I can't write, I can read and I can go back over the years. Now, when I used to enjoy nothing more I enjoyed than a Saturday away. Seeing, I would always have the paper on the bus, all my army songs, being naughty as it might have been. The thing is, when it came to this, it's a song, unfortunately my voice is not what it should be, but who's the greatest centre half the world has ever seen? Now I'd like everybody who knows to join in that. So I'll start it off. Join in with me. Who's the greatest centre half?
Non-members here that I can see, please stay behind. We've got tea and coffee next door. And thank you everybody, all the former players, Jimmy McNabb's wife, thank you Sylvia